We as parents like to control the surrounding of our children, but the parents plays a huge role on their parents' life. As parents, we always think about our children, what are they doing, who are they hanging out with, and are they safe. However, parents need to be educated on how violent games can affect children's behavior. Today I'm going to talk about three main points: why children play violent video games, what are the causes, and what are the solutions for parents to not let their children play violent video games. So why children play violent video games? Between the ages 9 to 25, children and adults play violent video games. According to the article, violent video games can link to aggression, stated that about 90% of U.S. Kids ages 8 to 16 play violent video games, and they spend about 13 hours every week, and more of those are boys. So I'm going to show you here, I have a statistic that shows between the ages of, here are the years and the quantity of children that play violent video games every single year. So between the ages 10 to 13-year-olds, these are with blue, it kind of shows that increases every single year. So the red here, we have the kids between the ages 14 to 16-year-olds, being every year it kind of increased the number of kids playing violent video games. And of course, we know that the games every year are getting better and better, and that kids are more wanting to play those type of games. So every year we've seen on the statistic that every year that number increases. So I believe that it will link to aggression and frustration in the future. But kids they think it's entertaining and interesting to play violent video games. I believe that we all were kids once. We love the fact that sometimes we had to explore different type of opportunities and types of activities. But this, like for example, Resident Evil or Die Hard violent video games, kids get to shoot and kill people on that, so they get kind of the frustration. They get to do some things that you don't actually do in real life. So those are the type of behavior that kids actually do. So another thing is children are naturally curious about anything. So it's by playing that he or she discovers and learns how the world reacts introduced with certain motivation. So another thing that the kids would love to play violent video games is because they're peer pressure. So according to the article, 5 reasons kids play violent video games is that many people think that peer pressure has to do with drugs or something. However, the truth is peer pressure can be associated with almost anything. So peer pressure it happens more with children because they are pressured to do something that they don't like to do. So that is why I will show you what are the causes that gets kids frustrated, natural curious, and peer pressure. So we all know that in 2012 in elementary school, Sandy Hook Elementary School in Bridgeport, Connecticut, that devastation elementary shooting that happened there in 2012, December 14th, Adam Lanza, they discovered when they did their investigation that he was lonely. He played a lot of violent video games that led into that horrible tragedy that happened in Sandy Hook Elementary School. So those are the type of behaviors that varies to kids to kids. So I have another statistic here that problems, behaviors caused by MR rating video games. I have here, these are the percentage on the side. So these are between the boys and the girls. The pink being the girls and the navy blue the boys. So here the percentage which is the highest with boys been in physical fights. Another thing is damaged property just for fun of it, and the boys being the highest. But another thing is get into trouble with teacher or principal. This is almost 60% higher with boys than the girls. And get poor grades on report cards. So these are the types of behavior some of the type of behaviors that kids can lead to those type of things. So the reason kids, these are the causes to get frustrated, curious, and peer pressure. So kids who get frustrated, sometimes they go through something that are frustrated by. So for example, my nephew, he's 11-year-old, and most of the times he's bullied around the school. And when he gets home, he usually asks my sister to go to a friend's house. Once my sister found out that he's actually going to play violent video games, the purpose of him doing that is because he got so frustrated and angry with the kids at school that he felt kind of relieved by playing those type of games. So another way that, because we all know that kids are really curious about anything, my interviewer Nadia Aliou stated that every time she would take her kids to the stores to buy a video game, her kids would end up choosing or looking at it, violent video games, because of the front cover picture. They're curious they want to try it, they want to see what's actually out there. Another reason is that kids want to play violent video games is peer pressure. Another example that I'm going to show you here is my brother, when he was a teenager, he actually was pressured to play violent video games by a friend because he would call him to come over to play die-hard violent games with a 2-controller, but if he said no, he was not cool enough for them. So that's another way of that kids are really pressured by another friend and they don't want to look not cool enough to do so. So those are the causes that can affect children's overall behavior. So what are the solution and advice for parents to not let the kids play violent video games? Is because you need to talk to your child to see what's going on with them during the school. Are they frustrated? Are they bullied? What are their goals? And just sit down and talk to them. And there's a lot of stuff out there that can be very educational for every child. You can sit down and play those educational games with them, listen to them, cut down the video games, so that can be cut down with hours, maybe half an hour, just sit down and play with them. But those could be, if you listen to your child, and signs that can lead to maybe they're playing violent video games. Kids can do anything. They can go behind your back and go and do all kind of stuff behind your back just to get their frustration out, and they're curious to try new stuff. And their peer pressure. The peer pressure plays a huge role on their children's life. So talk to them, and there's a lot of educational stuff out there that you can do with your child. Listen to them, and those can be. So violent games can be very bad for children and their future. Children to find and do things that their little bodies can handle, just to be able to express themselves. There are many stuff out there, many stuff, different type of activities that you can play with your child, and have your child listen to them. That's my main thing, because those can be signs that can lead to bad behavior and can have a bad impact on your children's life. Any questions?
No.
Mama. Eka. Mama. Eka.
Are you done?